One Punch Man, chapter 107/149. Another good chapter here. I really enjoyed this one, but I do have some concerns with it, especially towards the end and the future of the story, but I'll get into that later on in this review. The artwork was amazing. I mean, really amazing this time. I know Murata always puts in that work and does a great job, but some of these sequences and panels were exceptional. I mean, like, especially the Orochi ones and the other stuff that I'm going to talk about, like, wow. Really good job here, and this is probably why the chapter was only around 19 pages. And also, I'm glad that it came 2 weeks after the previous one. I hope that Murata intends to keep it bi-weekly at this point, but, you know, we never really know what the release schedule is going to be like. So don't expect it to be bi-weekly. I said this also with my webcomic review, but just in case you were wondering, I don't know. Murata never really lets us know, so yeah, but let's get into this. So we're picking up right where chapter 106 left off, with Tatsumaki encountering Gyoro Gyoro, and they're getting into a full-blown Esper fight here. I mean, Gyoro Gyoro is opening up this fight with a freaking Chibaku Tensei from Naruto. Like, it's pretty much the same attack we're seeing here. Like, this is the Renegon technique that Pain uses in his fight against Naruto. Madara also uses it multiple times in the Fourth War. It's one of the most powerful attacks in that series, and it seems to be quite formidable in this one as well. And they seem like to have the same fundamentals, more or less, like the Chibaku Tensei. Is like a pseudo black hole almost, created by the user, and it sucks in like all of the matter and debris and whatever it can get its hands on, and creates like this meteor almost. And that's kind of what like Gyoro Gyoro is doing here. Like, he's taking all of the, or should I say, she is taking all the debris from the surrounding monster association, is like impacting it on Tatsumaki. But of course, this is like nothing for her, and she just counters this by like exploding out of it. It makes like a quasar almost. Like, she's creating like a miniature quasar here. Pretty friggin' crazy. From Tatsumaki, another impressive display of power. This chapter is also showing us how freakishly powerful Tatsumaki really is. I mean, we kind of always knew, like, we saw her feats of power in the beginning of the series against Boros' ship. We saw her take down 100 Eyes Octopus and Jigan and all the other crazy stuff that she does with, like, her huge barrier that she can create, like her Esper shield that, like, takes up multiple city blocks. Like, she's freakishly powerful for sure compared to the rest of these characters. But we're really seeing it here because we know that Gyoro Gyoro is for sure a dragon level Esper. Like, we saw her go against Garo, and she was able to stifle him somewhat for a little bit, but he was able to break out of it. So me personally, I was kind of taken back by that. I was like, oh, Gyoro Gyoro's, you know, kind of limited in her power. So she's pretty powerful, but, you know, compared to the other characters like Tatsumaki, Garo, the other S-Class heroes, she's not quite on that level. But it appears that Gyoro Gyoro has another level to her power, as we see, like, she opens up a whole bunch of eyes on her body, similar to Hiei from Yu Yu Hakusho, but very similar to Jigan, the Esper that we saw fight Tatsumaki in Chapter 94. So the explanation for Jigan having all the multiple eyes in his body is because Gyoro Gyoro implanted them into him in order to bolster his power, and these eyes are allegedly coming from other Espers in that world. So it looks like Gyoro Gyoro did the same exact thing to herself. Just put a whole bunch of Esper eyes in her body and gave her a significant power boost. And the follow-up attack that we see her giving to Tatsumaki here, the super gravity waves, or whatever translation you got for this attack, is pretty damn powerful. And not just for One Punch Man. I mean, just in the grand scale of battle manga, because if this is true, and this is 300 times the gravity, which I assume it is, that means that this is comparable to what we have seen in Dragon Ball Z. So when Goku was on his way to Namek to save everybody from the Ginyu Force and Frieza and all them, the spaceship that he was training in set its gravity to, I think, like a max of 100 times gravity. And Goku was struggling with that for, you know, quite a bit. I mean, he eventually mastered it, of course, and it didn't affect him at all. But that's pretty telling here of how powerful this is. So, if you want to go even further, I think that the training that Vegeta went through, like post-Namek, like around the time the Trunk shows up, I'm pretty sure that the gravity he was training under was 300. So this is like crazy here. This is stuff that would even affect like Saiyans before they become solar system busters, that is. And the fact that Tatsumaki can brush this off no problem, actually just like making like a joke out of it, is pretty telling of how extraordinarily freaking crazy powerful she really is. So then she goes on to completely wreck Gyoro Gyoro, like literally tearing her limb from limb and then stringing her out like a sponge filled with blood. This is very similar to what she did to Hundred Eyes Octopus. This is like kind of like her thing, the tornado of terror. And this is quite literally what that is, because she's like making you a tornado essentially of blood by wringing you. Pretty graphic here, but also pretty cool. I mean, even Gyoro Gyoro's like, did you have to finish me off in such a cruel way? But that brings us to the next thing, and that's the meat puppets can't feel any pain. I'm going to pull your real body out. So I can't really talk about this. I don't know how I can talk about this without talking about what I know, because I know what is going to happen with this. I've read the webcomic, and I know all of you who have also know what's going to happen, so I can't really elaborate on this. Like, usually I'm able to do stuff like that without spoiling stuff, because the manga is, different in many ways from the webcomic, but this whole sequence here is definitely going to play out the way that it did in the webcomic. So I guess, we're just going to have to wait to see what happens in the next chapter. Like I can tell you, based off of what we are literally reading here, it appears that what we are seeing of Gyoro Gyoro is not her true form. And that maybe her true form is inside of Gyoro Gyoro. Like I said, I can't get too much into it. But if there is anything that I can confirm here, it's that what we are looking at with Gyoro Gyoro is like a shell, similar to what we saw with G4. So then Gyoro Gyoro tries to summon Orochi, and oddly enough, he doesn't show up. And another little fun thing that we're getting here is that Gyoro Gyoro says that not even she can gauge how powerful he is. I think that's pretty damn cool, and it's further cementing that he's totally above Dragon in power at that point. And another little fun piece of dialogue here is Tatsumaki actually kind of lowering her guard here and giving props to the S-Class heroes in a way, because she's like, maybe he ran into somebody else. They're nothing compared to me, of course, but, the other S-Class heroes do seem pretty strong. So this is one of those rare moments in the series where Tatsumaki is kind of lowering her guard and, giving props to someone and not just being a unruly thought. Gyoro Gyoro is also confirming that she does in fact have Orochi brainwashed under her complete control. We always kind of knew that this was the case, but it's just nice to get some real confirmation that Gyoro Gyoro did in fact do this when he was being created by her. And that brings us to the final part of this chapter, where Orochi encounters Saitama. So I'll be the first to admit it, guys. I was wrong about what I thought was going to happen here. I thought Orochi wasn't going to meet Saitama. I thought like Orochi was going to be doing his own thing in this war, and that they were going to go on their own separate paths, and Orochi probably would have died before Saitama even got the chance to even meet him. But evidently I was wrong, and that they are seeing each other here. And this kind of has me worried. So before I get into why, let me just say that I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen in the next chapter. I don't know what Orochi's fate is. He is not in the webcomic, so his whole storyline and whatever else is going to happen to him is not known to us hardcore One Punch Man fans. But that being said, I'm worried about what is going to happen with him based off of the ending of this chapter, because I don't want Saitama to kill him. I think that would be a huge waste of Orochi's character, and it would be really anticlimactic. So if you're on the other end of the spectrum here and you want Saitama to kill Orochi, that's fine, I understand. But me personally, Saitama has already done enough in this arc. He's already taken down 3 executives. It's like, we already know that he can take these guys down. And I understand that the series is One Punch Man. If anybody knows that, it is me, guys. But, it's like, that's not what all One Punch Man is about. So, can we please have Orochi fight the S-Class heroes or something? Like, it would really suck if he gets taken down by Saitama, but if he does, it's like, I get it, and I'll just have to deal with it. But, I just hope that doesn't happen. So, the artwork of Orochi, the double spread that we get of him encountering Saitama, is amazing! Oh my god, I love this panel so much. Like, every panel of Orochi is fantastic, especially all of the crazy artwork in Chapter 92. this is quite up there with that. It might even be better. I don't know. It's pretty damn fantastic. Like, I want this, like, framed on my wall. I just love it so much. But this also worries me as to why Saitama might potentially kill Orochi. It's because he's just so difficult to draw, and Murata doesn't feel like drawing him anymore. I don't know, maybe that could be the case. But I remember Murata really didn't enjoy drawing Elder Centipede, and he was happy that when he was finally axed from the story because he didn't have to draw him anymore. So I hope that's not the case with Orochi here, but, you know, we'll see what happens. So these two meeting and the dialogue that they exchange is pretty damn fascinating. So Saitama, I don't know, kind of in his own way, or at least this is what I'm getting here, mildly respects Orochi. So you might say, no he doesn't, you don't understand. Hey, guys, just this is how I'm seeing it. Just based off of Saitama's, like, the facial reaction that he has here, it's not typical, I'll say. Like, obviously Saitama isn't afraid of Orochi, he doesn't fear him at all, but he certainly sees that Orochi is a cut above the other monsters, because he's like, this inexplicable thing has finally appeared. Why is something like this living under my home? And I know inexplicable is really the only way that you can describe Orochi, but I don't know, I'm just getting the feeling here that Saitama is acknowledging that Orochi is definitely up there in the monster power scale. But oddly enough, we're getting the same exact thing from Orochi here. Because Orochi's like, I don't know how you got here, but you don't appear to be useless trash. So Orochi is joining the other few characters who are automatically aware that Saitama is extraordinarily powerful. So we got it before with Boros, you know, super powerful above dragon. Then we got it with Carnage Kabuto, arguable high dragon, and now we're getting it with Orochi. So it seems like the stronger you are in the world of One Punch Man, the more of an awareness you have of the power scale, more or less. And it's like, even if somebody looks to be weak, they can just see past that. Like, they can somehow see their aura, like the way that Boros was implied to. But that's where the chapter ends, and what I think is going to happen, or at least what I hope is going to happen, is that this little encounter here is going to be interrupted, and they won't get the chance to fight each other. Like, something is going to happen with Tatsumaki and Gyoro Gyoro that will interrupt them, and the attention is going to be brought away, and I don't know, Orochi might just go and help Gyoro Gyoro take on Tatsumaki, or, I don't know, so maybe something happens with Saitama. At least I just hope that's the case. Or maybe Saitama punches Orochi and Orochi eats it. Yep, that's right. Orochi might be one of the very few characters outside of Boros who could potentially be tanking a punch from Saitama here. So maybe not tanking is the right word, but taking the punch and not dying from it, I'll say. You know, similar to how we saw Boros in his armored form took the punch. That would be pretty cool, because that would just further hype up Orochi. But in the process, like, him getting punched just separates him from Saitama. So they don't continue to fight after that. Orochi just goes on to help, you know, Gyoro Gyoro, or does something else. But we now have that knowledge that Orochi can take a normal punch from Saitama. I think that would be super interesting. But, you know, it remains to be seen, and I hope that we get another chapter in the next 2 weeks, because I'm really excited and somewhat worried to see what is going to happen in the story from this point on. So if you liked the video, guys, please give it a like, and let me know what you think is going to happen with Orochi and Saitama, and Gyoro Gyoro and Tatsumaki, of course. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. I also have a Patreon. It gives you access to a Discord and a weekly Q&A video that I do in this channel every week. And most importantly, have a great day, guys. I'll see you in the next one.